specific position in favor of independence, but I don't know anyone inside Stop the War who hasn't been out chopping the doors, handing out leaflets, doing stalls, and fighting for an independent Scotland. The reason for that is that we are sick and tired to the back teeth of the warmongers at Westminster, who, as Tommy said earlier, always have a blank check for war, but can never look after the people in our own country. We're sick and tired of military aid and bombs being sent around the world, allegedly in our name. That is not in our name. The current situation in Palestine and for the people of Gaza is the most recent and most egregious example of the British government and the BBC's complicit in war crimes and the murder of innocent civilians. While the BBC refuses to cover the independence campaign, the inspirational campaign of grassroots individuals building in their local communities, building a better future for an independent Scotland, they also refuse to show the war crimes that Britain and America support in Palestine. As of yesterday afternoon, more than 1,000 Palestinians have been murdered in Gaza. It's an absolute shame that when the BBC talks about the situation, they talk about the number of Israeli soldiers which have been killed, but don't even mention the fact that they are the aggressor and the occupier of Palestine. I don't know if people realize this, but the Gaza Strip is the same landmass area as North and South US combined. But in Gaza, there are 1.8 million people living there. That's 600 times as many people as live in North and South US. And when the Israeli army says that they have warned people to leave their houses before they start to bomb, as the fourth largest and most powerful military in the world, it's a load of rubbish because there's nowhere for them to go. And when they take refuge in UN schools and hospitals, the Israeli occupation force army continues to bomb those hospitals and schools anyway, killing the children who are hiding inside. This is a situation that the BBC refuses to show, refuses to give an account of the situation inside Gaza. Because why? Because they back the Tory party in Westminster every step of the way. The reason the BBC refuses to cover the independence campaign is the same reason they refuse to cover the truth about what's happening and the murder of Palestinian men, women, and children. We can do better than Westminster. We can establish an independent Scotland where we make friends instead of enemies, where we don't need military force, where we send hospital ships instead of warships. And I want to see independence on the 19th of September. One of the first things that we can do to break the poison special relationship with America that Tony Blair and George Bush forged in the fires of lies and the hell that they brought on the heads of Iraqi civilians was, if we establish on the 19th of September a division between us and America, we are going to set a path towards peace and leadership in the world for non-nuclear powers who make friends. You make more friends with bread than you do bombs. And if we, to just start with one policy is to get rid of Trident nuclear weapons. The second policy is that Scotland can be the first country in the world, just like we were the first city in the world to recognize Nelson Mandela and freedom for South Africa from apartheid. Glasgow and Scotland can be the first country in the world to establish a Palestinian embassy and recognize our brothers and sisters who are not recognized by any other country in the world. Freedom for Palestine, freedom for Scotland, vote yes, let us get this country moving in the right direction for peace, freedom, and a nuclear-free future. Thank you very much.
You did. 2003.
I allowed you to speak. Let me please speak to it.
No, it's lying.
I did not vote for it. I voted against it. As did every Glasgow MP except
You
one.
did it. 2003. You voted.
Okay, well, we can spout lies and make up stories if you want. If you don't believe me, I can give you an answer. I'm not asking you to believe me. All I'm asking you to let me give you an answer. If you don't want me to give you an answer, I'll sit down and not say anything. It's up to yourself.
Can you answer the one of you?
If you just look up, no offence to you, but if you want answers, then you have to listen. Listen is part of communication. So if you stop and listen, and then you can say you're talking a lot of rubbish, then you can do that. But at least let me say something. And then you can tell me I'm talking rubbish, which you've already decided I'm going to. And then to the young gentleman at the bottom there.
In terms of the Middle East, if I could say first of all, on the 18th of March 2003, John Robertson voted that the government should use all means necessary to ensure mass destruction, leading to the UK joining the US invasion of Iraq 2 days later.
Pants on fire.
What we are doing by our continual involvement in the Middle East is, first of all, we are propping up arms companies, both in the UK and in the US. We are projecting colonialism when we can hardly afford to feed people in our own country. We have some twisted view of democracy that we want to impose on other people, and what that is causing is pain, suffering and death in these countries. Scotland's a welcoming society, so rather than pumping our arms to these big dealers, or pumping money to the arms dealers, instead we should be opening our arms and saying, come here, we've got a place for you in our community. It may surprise you to know that I'm a military wife, and my husband's one of only 9 people in the UK ever to have test-fired a Trident missile. I'm against Trident. It's an indiscriminate and morally unjustifiable weapon system in the same way that biological and chemical weapon systems are. We have no place for it in a civilised society. The reason we have it is so that we have our expensive status symbol. It makes London feel important, and it gives them a seat, a permanent seat on the UN Security Council. When Russian submarines were spotted off our coast, not by our military, but by fishing boats, we had to call on our NATO allies to help out. We're a global power who cannot defend ourselves. This unrealistic concentration on Trident is leaving us wide open, it's leaving big gaps in our defence. There are no maritime patrol aircrafts and Nimrods left in Scotland. We have no major warships based in Scotland, and throughout Scotland we see military bases being closed or been reduced in terms of their staffing. We need to invest properly in our armed forces, in affordable, realistic armed forces that give us a proper defence. If Russia wanted to invade tomorrow, we would have 2 choices. We could either start nuking, or we could chase them with pitchforks, because that's what's left to us. We are sending troops to illegal wars who are poorly equipped. They are dying because we have this obsession with Trident. In terms of Trident being a peacekeeper, I don't see non-nuclear countries lying there terrified at night that somebody's going to invade. If we were threatened with invasion, we would use the same force everybody uses. We would use conventional weapons and not use nuclear. It's morally unjustifiable to spend $100 billion on a Trident system when there are people hungry in our community. In terms of SNP's biggest mistake, we didn't make Nicola Sturgeon First Minister years ago.